Chaudhary. I welcome you again on my series of videos on Merchant Shipping Act 2025. There are a lot of new things which have come in, and I've been talking about the changes as well as the new act. I have done some 19 odd videos, and I'll be probably making a few more videos, particularly addressing the specific questions. Like, you could be asked, like, what does the new Merchant Shipping Act say in respect of search and rescue services which must be provided by the government? So section 119 says that the central government shall make arrangements in respect of search and rescue assistance, etc. Right? For which areas? For the areas which are coastal areas, like the areas which are Indian territories, as well as the areas which are supposed to be governed or intercepted by India as far as the International Convention on Search and Rescue 1979 says. So this is what has been stated under section 119 of Merchant Shipping Act. There could be a specific question as to what does new Merchant Shipping Act 2025 talk about safe manning. Safe manning is talked about in section 69. It says that it is the responsibility of the ship owner to provide the efficient seafarers, the required number of seafarers, considering the kind of work they will be doing on the ship, so that the ship's activities are managed safely and efficiently. So safely and efficiently are the terms used there. So your concern has to be the safety of the people. At the same time, also security of the vessel. Like, it shouldn't happen that you are keeping the people for the security watches and they are not available in the morning or the daytime. So it also considers the fatigue aspect. The fatigue has to be considered. The type of ship it is, the type of voyage it is. It says condition and the type of voyage that is being encountered. Because depending on a particular voyage, you might have extra work to be done by the crew members, right? Depending on the area you are navigating, you may have to employ the people for security. So all these aspects must be considered. This is what is the gist of section 69, that is the safe manning. Sometimes a question is also asked in respect of, what are the international conventions, codes, etc., which talk about safe manning. So most important is the two. One is Chapter 5, Safety of Navigation, Regulation 14. It talks about safe manning. And apart from that, there is this IMO resolution in respect of guidance to the nations in respect of deciding what should be the safe manning. So a country probably would take the employment situation, probably it will take the cultural system that is there on followed in the country, etc. Then Hague-Visby Rule Article 3 says that it is the responsibility of the carrier to provide a seaworthy vessel, to ensure the seaworthiness before and at the beginning of each voyage. For that the carrier must, ship owner means, I am assuming that ship owner is the carrier, but it talks about the carrier. For this, the carrier will ensure that the vessel is manned, equipped and supplied efficiently, appropriately. Manned means safe manning once again. MLC talks about safe manning because it says that there should be occupational hazards considered, safe working conditions to be provided. Also, you must understand that there can be security issues on the ship, so you should have appropriate safe manning. So there are various codes and conventions which talk about safe manning. We have DGS orders in respect of ensuring that the Indian vessels have the safe manning, otherwise they might be penalized with rupees 8 lakh, which will go to the Bharatiya Jama Kosh. There the money will be deposited. In addition, the money the ship owner has saved by doing the reduced manning will also be recovered from the ship owner. So these are the various areas where you find the literature in respect of safe manning of the ship. So question could be asked, like, what does Merchant Shipping Act say in respect of the communication equipment? So section 120 talks about this subject. It says that every ship should be equipped with communication equipment. And the communication is in respect of what? In respect of safety messages, in respect of distress messages. And also it should be ensured that the required number of radio operators are there on board. A specific question could be what kind of stability information should be provided to the master. So it is a well-known fact that the stability information that should be provided to the master should be such that master looks at the information. In one glance he knows that the stability health of the ship is good, because the SOLAS as well as earlier Merchant Shipping Act says that the master should be able to make an accurate assessment of the ship's stability by rapid and simple means. Rapid means fast, simple means not complicated, which means that he shouldn't have to do any calculation. He should probably just look at the diagram and assume that the ship stability is good. So that kind of information should be provided. But here in section 121, it says that the information that is provided to the master of the ship should be such that he should get an idea of the stability. He should know what is the stability of the ship. And in addition to that, he should also know what are the effects of damage control. I mean, you have done something in damage stability, you have done something, so you should know what is the effect of that. Plus the following precautions. I mean, it should be given the various precautions in respect of various situations. For example, maintaining watertight integrity, provision for damage control which is duly approved, then compliance with the provisions of safety convention and load line convention, safety and security concerns of the ship as per this part of the Merchant Shipping Act. What is the provision in respect of load lines? So if we look at the earlier Merchant Shipping Act, section the part 9 talks a lot about the statutory certificates and control over the ships which are coming to India in respect of compliance with load line convention. But here it is limited in a very small regulation, and that talks volumes about what can be done to a visiting ship. So in section 122 it says that any ship that arrives here should be upright with the load line not submerged. So this is very important. Probably if the ship's load lines or draft marks are not painted or they are submerged, it would be considered as unsafe ship and the ship would be probably detained. What does Merchant Shipping Act say in respect of sending or not sending an unseaworthy vessel to sea? Right? So it is very important to understand that a person, whether he is ship owner, charterer or the master itself, right? If any of them, they attempt to send the ship to sea, there are two things. One is the person is liable to penalty under section 181 and 182. And second thing, if he is master, then he is liable to lose his certificate, in the sense like his certificate can be cancelled or suspended for specified period for doing this kind of thing. So what is required? If in a certain situation the ship is sent to sea in unseaworthy state, so it has to be proved that the ship going to sea or navigating like that is not going to cause any loss of life, loss of ship or environmental pollution, etc. Right? The ship, when it is sent to sea in unseaworthy state, you should be able to prove, and prove means P-R-O-V-E in capital. Prove beyond any doubt that sending the ship in such unseaworthy state in given circumstances was not unreasonable. So it is not just in imagination or just by the words, one has to prove. So one has to say that whatever the situation that the ship had to be sent in such unseaworthy state, did you take all the precautions? Did you do the risk assessment? You were sailing, was the weather good? Did you take the weather warning? Did you look at the pros and cons? Like, what was the safety equipment which was not working? If it was like, for example, radar, was the other radar perfectly working? or there were no chances of reduced visibility. You were going to another port. What was the distance to that port? Maybe the distance was only 4 hours, you can justify, and you have gone to that port many a times, and you knew the port approaches inside out, and taken all the precautions, and every other navigational equipment was working fine, done safety meeting with officers along with the risk assessment. You have to prove that sailing in unseaworthy condition in given circumstances was not reasonable. So only then you are exempted. Otherwise, you are liable to penalty, as well as there is a risk of certificate getting cancelled or suspended. The positive side of it is Merchant Shipping Act gives you permission to sail in an unseaworthy state in certain situations. So that is the positive side of this section. Before the ship proceeds to sea, who all are required to ensure that all reasonable means have been used to ensure that the ship is seaworthy state before she proceeds to sea. So section 128 talks about this subject. It says that this is the responsibility of the master, the owner, and the agent who's charged with loading of the ship, to make sure that he is used, or that person is used, all reasonable means to ensure that the ship is seaworthy before the ship proceeds to sea. I mean, you can't have any other agreement contrary to this. Even if you had some kind of agreement that it was not your responsibility, contrary to this, it will not be considered valid. I mean, this is therefore an unconditional requirement that these three people who are talked about, that is the master, owner, and the agent who's charged or who has a responsibility to load the vessel, to ensure that all reasonable means have been utilized to ensure that the ship is seaworthy before she proceeds to sea. What kind of safety and security compliance should be done by the master of the ship, or a ship owner, or a port facility? Section 129 of Merchant Shipping Act says that every master, ship owner, and port facility must comply with the requirement which are given by central government in respect of the safety and security. So it becomes individual responsibility of all these people, master, ship owner, and the port facility.